You look great, everyone. When people get stuck in conflict, they often want to be heard so much that they stop listening to each other. It also sometimes happens that someone wants to be heard so much, and they give up trying to be heard because they've given up faith that someone's going to listen to them. Now, these are serious situations because if we want to build a world for all of us, we can't afford to lose any voices. So fortunately, it doesn't have to be this way. You might think that conflict is a problem that we need to fix or overcome, but the reality is it's an opportunity, and you are being invited to lean in. My name is Duncan Autrey, and I work at Seeds. We are a Bay Area nonprofit organization that's dedicated to providing services that encourage effective dialogue and solutions. We get the honor of working with schools, individuals, businesses, governments, and organizations when they're having hard times. And we give them the capacity to resolve conflicts in ways that are productive and generative. But you know, the truth is I'm not actually that interested in resolving conflict. I find it much more interesting to design new ways for us to be in relationship with each other. So in the next 6 minutes, I'm going to try to convince you that conflict is not a problem to avoid. Conflict is an opportunity to thrive. And what more, I want to recruit you into doing this important work of building a world for everyone. And so in that spirit, I'm going to let you in on 3 insider tips that I've learned after working with thousands of people trying to be heard in difficult situations. These are the 3 basic rules of conflict. The first rule of conflict is that the conflict is usually not about what it's about. Like that first complaint, it's probably important and you might need to address it. But if you want to find a way of moving forward, you're going to have to dig deeper and discover what's at the heart of the situation. Finding the underlying needs and interests, that is where the healing and the learning can happen. The second rule of conflict is the people who started the conflict, who got involved in the conflict, they also need to be involved in the solution of the conflict. Now, people miss this one a lot, but it's essential to make sure that you have contrasting voices in the creation of any agreement. And this benefits all of us because if we build our teams and we build our solutions, including diverse perspectives, they're going to be more robust, they're going to be more resilient, and they're going to be more sustainable. The third rule is the process and the outcome are the same thing. If you have a process to resolve a conflict, it's going to create an outcome. But that outcome is actually just a new process. And that process will create more outcomes, and those outcomes will create more processes, and so on. Another way to think about this is every question that we answer just opens the door to a new question. And so that brings us to the 4th of the 3 rules of conflict. There isn't going to be a final outcome. This idea that we're going to reach some static, once-and-for-all solution, that's an illusion. We are far better served by doing the work to design situations that are inclusive, that are accessible, and provide space for everyone to have productive disagreements. And so here we are. We live in this beautiful, diverse, dynamic, and vibrant world. And we see that we want to lean into this diversity because we know that that's going to benefit all of us. And as we lean into this world, we are opening ourselves to a process of ongoing change and transformation. And this process is going to be delightful, and it's going to be serious, and sometimes it's going to feel irresistible, and sometimes it's going to be overwhelmingly hard. But this process of transformation, the choice of whether this is a generative or a destructive process, that is up to us. That is our choice. And so when someone, the choice that we have is that if we look at conflict and we try to avoid it, it can lead to further division and disintegration. If, on the other hand, we embrace conflict, it has the chance to bring us closer together. Because here's the secret of conflict. It provides a direct line straight into someone's heart. It shows us what is important and valuable to the people who are involved. Conflict is a window to the most vulnerable part of someone, and this is why it is so scary. When someone has the courage to step up and say something's not working for them, that is a time for us to listen very carefully and very closely to what they have to say. Because at its most basic, conflict will show us what people need and how we can support them. It also shows us how we can improve our organizations and our teams and our institutions. But most interestingly, conflict opens the door to the person's truest and best self. This is the voice that they yearn to share with the world. And so whether these are our employees, our teammates, our colleagues, or our friends, the bottom line is that everyone benefits from removing the obstacles to each other's self-expression. And that is why we need leaders like you, who are willing to do the active work to build a diverse and inclusive society. I propose that the people who build the future and the businesses who build the future, they're going to be the ones who know how to dance through conflict. They can bring forward the best of people, and they can make sure that they can work together as a team. So who's willing to dive into this work? Okay, all right. Who's willing to do it even if it's going to be hard sometimes? Even more people, that's great. So here's one deceptively simple and extremely effective tip that you can use right now, today, to get you started. Listen. No, seriously, if you listen to people and you truly make sure they are heard, their heart will open. And then they will be ready to hear what others have to say. Effective listening requires empathy. You need to let the person know that you can imagine what they're going through. Be curious, ask questions, and reflect back what you hear them say to make sure that you heard them well. If you listen deeply to people, the world around you will open. And then you have a chance to share what you want to share with the world. And so here's my advice to you. Think of something that's important to you, or find something that's important to someone else, and go get yourself into some conflict. And this time, start by listening. And if you have any trouble, you can give us a call. Thank you.